Everybody, Big Mesa Branch Outdoors, and today I'm going to show you one of my favorite flies that I like to fish in the spring called the apple caddis. Super easy to tie. Let's jump right into it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that from my standard jaws on my Norvise Fly Tying System. Mine actually is a Liberty Blue. It's a Legacy C, and I'm going to be tying this on a size 14 hook. I like to fish flies like this on 14s. I'm going to fish it in tandem with another fly, typically a smaller. It could be an emerger when you have some blue-wing olives coming off. But this has got a few little characteristics that I think the fish find it attractive. Experiment with it. I'm teaching you technique more than anything else. If you want to copy this fly, remember the fly tying materials list is at the front of this video here. So the first thing I want to do after I secure my size 14 vise is I'm going to grab my Norvise Auto Bobbin, which is spooled with nano silk in black. The color on this doesn't once again necessarily matter, but I like the nano silk for the size because I want to keep this pretty thin as we got some materials to tie in this here. So I'm going to take my thread back to the hook. If you wanted to add some weight to the bead, you certainly can. It's a 3.0. It's a moonlit bead, slotted tungsten and apple color, kind of an apple green. The next material we're going to tie in for the tail is actually a Montana fly company. I don't know if they still make this anymore, but it is midge body thread in the color red. And basically I'm going to pull off just a smidge here, and we're going to double it over a few times, which is going to kind of make a little tail shuck on it, but it's red. I like this because there's a little bit of flash to it. And you see I've got a small piece right there, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double it over a couple of times and then cut it, and then we're just going to tie it in, and that's going to be our tail. And then you're just going to trim it, and the more you fish it, it's going to start to fray out just a little bit, and that's what we're looking for. So I want to add some securing wraps there, take that back to that particular area, and I'm going to trim it short just like that. Doesn't need to be large at all. That's all we have to do. And then I'm going to kind of level out this body here right quick on this. And thank you to the folks who have reached out telling me where you were watching from. Kannapolis, North Carolina. We've got Florida. We've got Kentucky watching as well. So love to hear from me. If you didn't get to us, let me know. Want to know where you're chiming in from. The next material is from Simperfly. It's a dirty bug yarn. And what I've done is I have actually cut off some strands. It comes twisted up just like so. And then what I like to do is untwist it and get multiple strands out of it. So this is olive. So this is where you can kind of play around with those colors that you could be tying. So I want to spin my thread counterclockwise. I had some folks in the shop the other day, and I was explaining about spinning the thread counterclockwise. I asked if I could make a suggestion, and it was well received. But spinning the thread counterclockwise is going to cause that thread to jump to the rear, which allows you to grab your materials much easier. Now, with the Norvise, I'm going to be able to spin this body up here real quick. So we're just going to make these nice little wraps coming forward, and I'm going to stop at about right here. I'm not going to go all the way up to the front of the bead because I'm going to add a collar as well as a little hot spot. Optional on the hot spot. You can do it if you want to. If you don't want to, don't do it. I don't do any counter wrap ribbing here. That's entirely up to you. This, as I said before, I'm teaching you technique, especially if you're tying a Norvise. A lot of technique here for that particular system. So the next material is going to be some CDC in blue-wing olive color. Once again, just kind of mix up the colors you would like to have. So I'm going to get my little loop here started right quick. And I'm going to secure with a half hitch and then put my thread over here on the bobbin holder. I've already got my CDC prepared for us there, folks. So I want to put my little dubbing twister in here, grab that one right quick. And I'm going to grab my CDC that's already prepared. If you don't want to do a dubbing loop, certainly you can tie this in by the tip and you can make a couple of wraps and it's going to accomplish the same things. That's entirely up to you. I just like doing dubbing loops. So I want to twist that up, get that in there nice and neat. So when you're out there guiding, you go through a lot of flies, you want them to last and be able to use them as much as you can. Excuse me there, folks. Got a little frog in my throat. Speaking of that, what has more lives than a cat? This is a dad joke. This is a dad joke. Okay? My wife pulled it on me. It's a frog because they croak every day. So there you go. There's your humor of the day. I have secured that dubbing loop right there with the CDC in it, just like that. I'm going to put in a half hitch, and this is where the next step is optional, but I'm going to put a little collar on here. Now, you might ask about the length of the CDC. If it's too long, all you got to do is take your fingers and just kind of break those off. I do like mine a little long. I do find that the more you fish it, it's gonna wear out some. So longer at first is better. And the more you use it, the more fish you catch, the more rocks you hit, things like that. It's just gonna work itself out. So the next material that I'm using is I'm gonna use some ice dub in UV red. Use whatever you like, or don't do it at all. Once again, you don't feel like you have to do that if you don't want to. But I'm just adding another little hot spot, and I'm just going to use just a smidge. It's not going to take much on this at all. That right there is probably enough. Just going to keep it minuscule. Get that off my finger, and if you noticed, I did not spin it on like I traditionally do, so I'm just going to get that laid in there just like that. Beautiful. Okay, and I had my tension knob on my Norvise tight, so I can manipulate that wrapping by using my finger. I like to use my index finger. Half hitch in there just like so. You can really get that nano sip to slide in down behind that bead, just like that. And you are there. I mean, this is cutting into my finger. So that's all there is to it, folks. We appreciate you watching. And as always, follow us on all the social media platforms. Tie up some, send some pictures to me. Love to see them. We'll get them put out there on the videos. Look forward to seeing you on next week's video. Y'all take care and catch a butt ton of fish. See you guys.